When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind at speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.
Hey, welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. So let's be honest, this is the greatest show on earth. It doesn't matter what industry you come from, what background, what personality, you can create an amazing life in sales. And today's guest is no stranger to that journey. I'd like to welcome Russell Van Brocklen to the show. How you doing today, partner?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. I want to jump right in. I want to hear your crazy sales story.
Well, the crazy sales story I have is I'm dyslexic, all right? And when you're trying to figure out how the heck can I go ahead and get sales through, how can I make things happen? One thing that I found out is you have to find out why the hell you're doing this. Why are you going about trying to call these people? Because if it's just for your paycheck, nothing's going to happen. So for me, the crazy time came back. I'm sure you remember back in the ELOs and how crazy the mortgage market was.
Indeed.
I had a job they told me it was a job of a telemarketer, but I was so much more than that. I was calling people up. I'm talking about leads that were called, I'm not joking, at least 100 times. Because then they got dumped into this database, and I had all the leads I wanted, but they were just pounded to death. So when I called them up, I was just like, okay, the thing that I wanted to do, I used the universal theme of trying to make sure they got the best damn deal possible. All right, I didn't want them to get screwed because this was going to be the biggest financial decision almost anybody makes ever. And I wanted to make sure they weren't going to get hammered. And there were so many people getting hammered. So I would call up these people. And what I found is if I told them, really, I told them variations of, you're taking it up, you know what.
Oh, boy.
All right. And they were like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I don't know. This doesn't sound the best. Would you mind if I took down some information and looked into it? All right. So I would go, and you remember how big those mortgage applications were.
Oh, yeah.
So I would go and I would take down all their information. And besides one person, I always recommended a fixed rate. Not that adjustable crap. The one guy I didn't care about. He was in Wellesley, Massachusetts. His house was worth $1.5 million, and he had $40,000 a month going through an account. Back then, that's top 1%. If you want to go and do something stupid, I don't care, but I didn't want the normal guy to get screwed. Mm-hmm. So I'd take down all their information, and then I would go and I'd be like, well, you know what? I'm dyslexic. This isn't my best specialty. This is my best area. I would hand it off to a colleague. What I'd actually do is hand off to the loan broker. But I gave it to him. I gave him everything. All he had to do was go and play, put everything together. I already did all the work. All right. So, and then I would just hand off application after application after application. I kept 6 guys busy. And I was not paid like a telemarketer. I was paid like a sales professional. All right. They would get their commissions check and they would come back. What's so little? I thought I was going to get this huge check. And they're like, yeah, the guy doing the telemarketing handed you the deal. All you had to do was execute it. Yeah. All right. And they're like, oh, because I just kept handing them stuff. I mean, I had that whole place summoned because I'm calling up these leads that are like literally 100 times. I'm just saying, I think you're getting screwed. And I would be perfectly honest with them. We would come back after the evaluation and say, well, if that was a better deal than we could do, we would let them know. But I worked for a wholesale bank, and I would say 9 out of 10 times we gave them the better deal. And sometimes, you know what, we could save you about $3 a month. Go with who you currently have. And you know what they would generally tell me is, you're the first honest person I talk to here. No, we're going. I don't care about the $3. I want to, go with you and make sure we get this done the right way. And I would just be there if they would. I would actually hand out my personal cell phone. 3:00 on a Saturday morning. They would give me a call, and I would be like, "Okay, let's walk through this." I was there 24/7 with this. All right, I took care of the snafus when they happened, off hours. Okay, but what I just found is when you're dealing with this, you do what I like to do. Find why the hell you're doing this. All right. Find out what that is. Narrow it down to a simple word, a simple universal theme. All right. And then that's your purpose of existence. And if the person doesn't fit that, move on to the next one. All right. Yeah. Really become the go-to expert in your niche. Because I can tell you, if you're not specialized, you're nothing.
It's a lot of people want to be generalists because they think having a bigger target market is going to make them more successful. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, if you're just throwing a bunch of rocks at a field, the chances of hitting anything and actually getting something of value out of it are slim to none. And
exactly.
It's a conversation you have to kind of have a couple of times with young sales professionals when they're starting the game, because they think, when we're young, we know everything, right? Like we know it all. We ain't ain't nobody telling us nothing about know-how. And, Russell, I'm not picking on you, but I can tell you've got some experience and some wisdom on some of us young bucks, right? You've been in the game a while now. And you're coming at it from the place of what some people would consider having a disadvantage, right? Being dyslexic and having some communication things to work through. I'm very curious about that because growing up, my brother was dyslexic. Mm-hmm. And I know that a lot of his teachers and some of the people who were supposed to be helping and supporting him, in my belief, right? If any of you just happen to be listening to this and you know my brother and we're one of his teachers, I'm not picking on you, but it's my belief that they kind of played into it and allowed it to be an excuse for things. Mm-hmm. Where you're coming at it from the angle of it's not an excuse, it's not a debilitation, it's something that I'm going to work through. And I'd be interested to know, did it become a superpower of yours, learning to overcome that specific roadblock in your journey?
Yeah, because I actually solved dyslexia. So just what it is. This is the top book on dyslexia, Overcoming Dyslexia by Sally Shaywitz from Yale.
Okay.
That's dyslexia. Okay. You see how the back part of your brain has all this massive neuroactivity?
Yep.
Mine's got next to nothing. See how mine has next to nothing?
Okay.
Do you see how the front part of my brain's 2.5 times overactive?
I see what you got going on there. So for those of you that aren't watching this on the YouTube, go check the YouTube because he's got a good diagram from this book. But yeah, I see what you got going on, Russell.
Okay, so when you really get to high-end sales, that's where it's happening. It's not a disadvantage. It's a huge advantage. It's all about word analysis followed by articulation. So when you're talking about dyslexics and being successful, did you ever watch a show called Shark Tank?
I sure did.
Guess how many of the 6 sharks are dyslexic?
Oh, based on the conversation, I'm going to have to say 5 out of 6.
Half of them, Barbara, Damien, and Mr. Wonderful.
Okay.
So that's dyslexics really make up 5 to 10% of the population. They're half the sharks. So when you're talking about guys who understand the sales process, who are rocking it, you would be shocked at how many dyslexics there are up there, because this part of the brain that deals with how do I discuss high-end stuff, how do I analyze what the customer's looking for, how do I knock it down to a word, how do I articulate it. I got 2.5 times the neural activity that you do. It's unfair as heck. And do you remember in college and high school all those papers you had to write?
Well, I didn't do very many of those, to be honest with you, Russell, because I didn't do very good in school. But yes, I remember they asked me to write those papers.
Yes. I didn't write any of them. I gave oral presentations instead. So I got slammed. So when I walked into sales positions, that's what I found worked. But what I found when I was dealing with the mortgages, I was looking for an angle that I could really focus on. And I'm just when you're dealing with that biggest financial decision of your life, you're taking it up, you know what, I think. And you have to be completely honest about it. And you got to care, and you got to go out, give 110%. And when people say, you hand out your personal cell phone to people you're calling, I'm like, yes. Do I get that many 3 o'clock calls? No. But when I get them and then I'm on it and I take care of it, you know what those people do when they talk about it? I can tell you that that's what it takes. All right, people that think this is a 9-to-5 job, that's what you're looking for. Go home, do something else. That's not it. It's a great thing, but when they call, I'm there. So when you're talking about dyslexia, all you got it is a profound, huge, unfair advantage.
Well, and I love that you bring to the light the idea that it's about processing information.
Mm-hmm.
And that is ultimately what sales comes down to. Asking questions, listening to the response, processing that information in real time, and then understanding what direction do we need to take the conversation. Do we speed it up? Do we slow it down? Do we add extra tonality to certain places or inflection on a specific word because we know that's going to tug at the emotional heartstring inside? And that is the nuance of what takes you from being an order taker, someone who just picks up the phone and processes the document that someone like Russell has already just gotten filled out, versus getting on and working through that conversation and building a relationship and understanding what people are going through and being able to relate to them. And I'd be curious for you, do you use a lot of stories or analogies in your sales process when you're talking to people?
Yeah, because right now what I do is, I literally solve dyslexia. All right, I train parents to train their kids now how to do that.
Tell me more about that.
So yeah, I let them know how, like, my most profound story, and I tell parents, I never saw this before. I'll never see this again. I gave a 10-year-old girl named Casey this little book to learn to read. She was reading at the 2nd grade level. This is at the 10th grade to first year college level. It's called The Rise of Theodore Roosevelt. It won the Pulitzer, 900 pages. I gave that to Casey, gave her a simple process because I do writing first, reading second. She wanted to do reading first. So I showed her a process. She locked herself in a room 3 hours a night for 6 months. At the end, she went from the 2nd grade reading level to the 10th grade reading level.
Jeez.
I worked with her for 15 minutes a week. Okay. Again, that is my most successful case. I mention that because you want to talk about a dyslexic who went through and learned word for word, and now she's going into business. And when she was asking me questions about that, I would say, you know what, narrow it down to a universal theme, because analyze it, come up with a universal theme, and then you can articulate from there. That's how our brains are designed. Helps out like crazy.
Yeah, it's so cool when you start peeling back the layers of how this all comes together, and how, I mean, realistically, anyone can be successful in this industry. It doesn't matter what you're going through or dealing with. There are ways to work through it and to create a process for yourself that will move the needle closer to building that trust, having a good, strong conversation with your prospects, your leads, your clients, whatever, and then ultimately positioning you as an authority and a trusted go-to person for your marketplace. And so now that you're in the space helping, cure dyslexia, fix dyslexia, what what message do you have to get in front of people to help them understand that this is something that can actually be done? Because I'd imagine there's probably a lot of people that don't even believe it can be done.
Well, I'd like to give an example of a mom I just helped. I'm actually writing a book on this right now. Her name is Kimberly. I met her last December 27th. Her son's name was Reed. She just had the state of Ohio test him. He was reading at the 11th percentile, writing at the 4th percentile. 5.5 months later, he was reading at the 64th percentile, writing at the 65th. He's now in his friends wanted him to come to school for social reasons. He's now in gen ed classes because his mom solved it. How much time did that take? I worked with her for a half an hour a week. She worked with him for an hour and a half a week. That's all it took.
I mean, big picture, you think if this is something that's been you're struggling with essentially your whole life, to know that, over a period of 6 months, just an hour a day or 2 hours a day, just a little bit of time every day can make such a massive impact. And interestingly, y'all, if you haven't picked up the theme yet, it's the consistency that creates the results. It's the just showing up and doing the work and locking in and focusing on it that allows you to move that needle forward and to get to that point. And so it's cool to hear you talk about it, Russell, where these young kids, essentially, who most people would think, oh, they're never going to read a 900-page book. Like, adults don't read 900-page book. But she locked in, she focused, she got the results she's looking for. This other individual you're referencing, like, they locked in, did the work, stayed consistent, got the results they were looking for. It's not rocket science, you guys. But, he had shared, if you didn't, again, you're not watching this on the YouTube or in the clips, like, he shared that picture of the brain. It's not as complicated as you're making it out to be.
No, it's not. And the other thing for your audience, you want to get on, like, for example, when it comes to podcasting, if you look at the current leaderboard, I'm number 2 in the system out of 4,800. I've been bouncing between the number 1 and number 5 for the past 4 months. All right? Get on. Okay. We met on Podmatch. Get on there. Find out where your area of expertise is. Get on. Do a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen podcasts. Get out there. I've done in the last 6 months. I've done over 150 of them. That's what great. Do you think happens now when people Google my name? Okay. First thing people are going to do is they're going to go and Google you, and they're going to go to your LinkedIn profile. Okay. Best thing you could do is go the podcast you're on in your niche. Have the podcasters, because you guys have a heck of a lot of influence. Put on a good review on LinkedIn. Have them so they can listen to you after they Google you. All right. Put you way ahead of the game. Way ahead of the game. But you got to get out, and this is the greatest way of getting yourself out there so people can know you. All right. It's just so much easier to do now than even a year ago. All right. And give you a little hint before you come on a podcast, listen to the episodes, know what's going on, take it seriously. You do that, you will build things up. All right. And I can tell you what people will go to the internet. They're like, you're everywhere. You're on all these podcasts. I hear you're saying the same thing. I said, yes. And these people trust me enough to come on their podcasts. All right. Oh, okay. Well, now they take me seriously. I presented, no joke, I presented for over a decade at major dyslexia conferences. And it's the podcasts and listening to those that are so much more valuable than me presenting at a major. I was like, what the heck? That's how powerful these things are. Do that so people can know who you are, so you're just not another nameless face selling, widget X.
I love that advice. There's so much power in personal branding, and especially today when people are doing more and more due diligence, they're researching, they're wanting to make sure people are legit and that things are legit. Having your name be something that's easy for people to Google and being the top of the list of what they're going to find, and being things that are quality, reviews about conversations that you've been a part of, or podcasts that you've been on, or quality customer reviews from people that actually liked what you offered and did for them. Like, that stuff all plays a big part into your sales success. And, Russell, we could probably sit here and nerd out on this for many, many hours together, because I know it's just the tip of the iceberg of your wisdom and knowledge. But I want to respect your time. How do we come find you, follow you, check out more of this amazing content?
Best thing to do is just go to dyslexiaclasses.com. That's with an S, dyslexiaclasses.com. There's a button there that says download free guide. Just click on that, answer a couple of questions, and then set up a time to speak with me for a half an hour. There's no cost.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate that, and we will definitely make sure we put all of that down in the show notes so people can find you easily. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to share the story with us, man. This has been great.
Thanks for having me.
If you guys enjoyed the show, you know what to do next. Share it on social media. Tag me and Russell. Let the world know you invested some valuable time in this and you got something from that investment. Maybe you know somebody who sucks at communicating. Maybe you know somebody who has dyslexia and they feel like they suck at communicating and they want to figure it out. Send them this show. Let them know there's a solution. You've got a guy named Russell who figured it out. Let them know that the answers are out there, because more than anything, that's what this show's all about. Sharing the message, getting the stories out, helping people be more successful on their journey in sales. And that's the thing. Subscribe, leave a review, listen to all the other amazing guests and episodes. Maybe you want to be a guest. Maybe you have an episode and a story to tell. Head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your details. We'll get you booked in. Then grab a hat, maybe a shirt, keychain, wristband, some swag. Support the movement, because you know what we're going to do from here. We're going to pick up the phone. We're going to call the damn leads, and we'll see you guys next time. Later, y'all.
When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind that speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.